Okay, we're up in the Volcanic Tablelands proper. The view is spectacular. It is an amazing place. It's just amazing. We are on the hunt for the Rosetta petroglyph. It's got to be around here someplace. So here we are at Rosetta, here in the Volcanic Tablelands. This site has been designated by the UC Berkeley Department of Archaeology as INY-268. Pretty sure the 268 must be how many miles they walked to find this thing. But everybody calls it Rosetta. And it is amazing. The rock itself is made of red pumice. Geologists call this type of pumice Bishop Tuff, T-U-F-F. And this petroglyph uses the same curvilinear drawing style that's found all throughout the Volcanic Tablelands. I'm going to highlight a few of the specific areas to draw your attention to. This here looks like could be a medicine wheel. It also looks kind of like a compass. Now that's me today thinking it looks like a compass. But the reason why I'm thinking it possibly could be that. It's kind of positioned accordingly to north, south, east, west right now. It's a little bit off, but that could have been because there's been a lot of jostling in this area because of earthquakes, soil erosion, a number of reasons. And I can kind of forgive the artist for not having it dead certain. Pretty sure the artist didn't work for NASA. On the circumference of the petroglyph is a line, a solid line. And in this back area, there are 20 lines radiating out from it. We can only guess what those 20 lines mean. The number of years that the artist lived, number of fish he caught, we don't know. This other large circular area, this could be the sun. You see a lot of irradiating lines coming off of it, the top and the bottom. Bird tracks are present all over the stone, namely here and here. In this area here, curiously, it looks like a six-fingered hand to me. A couple of other drawings on this particular petroglyph you see all over the Volcanic Tableland. You see circles and ovals like this one here, and this one down here, with a line drawn longitudinally across it, the length, either with a circle or an oval. It's always drawn the length of it. There's a lot of things we really can't identify on this petroglyph. There's this figure here. It's like a several lines radiating out from a center. This here we have a circle with a line drawn downward. And we have another similar chiseled petroglyph here with lines going out in several directions. Could these be, I don't know, star explosions? Maybe the artist saw a meteor and he said maybe somebody should write that down. We also see what could be another drawing of a human here, but where the head was started to be chiseled, there's a piece of the rock missing. And it looks like, since there's a natural crack in the rock going in this direction, it intersects where the head could be, and it just could be natural erosion. I don't think it's been defaced. One last unusual item is this right here. It kind of looks like an arrow, but that's me layering my culture and my society on this petroglyph. Anthropologists have properly credited this petroglyph to the Mono people. The Mono people inhabited this area for thousands and thousands of years. And all of these petroglyphs carry a certain cultural theme if you're looking at it from an artist's point of view. And they're all spectacular. Of all of the places I have been in the Tablelands, this is one of the first sites that I've seen, that I found, that has not been marked by vandalism. And that's why a lot of these sites remain secret. I'm not telling you how I found out about it. I'm not telling you where it's at. Don't even bother asking. If you really want to know where this place is at, go to grad school. Become an anthropologist. This piece of pumice probably weighs around 20 tons. It is huge. But this was created about 8,000 years ago. 8,000 years. Somebody stood right here, and with a really dense rock in one hand, chiseled into this rock face. All of these designs. This isn't scratched, this is chiseled. Some of the petroglyphs in the volcanic tableland area, I've seen them go as deep as a 1/4 inch, maybe a 1/2 inch. Chiseled into the rock face. Now the reason the lines are bright and the underlying rock is dark, it's a process called desert varnish. A lot of pumice in the volcanic tablelands are dark colored. Some almost approaching black. Why that is, over time the pumice reacts with the air and turns it darker. Now this darkening process lasts thousands of years. It takes thousands and thousands and thousands. More than 12,000 years in some cases for it to blacken all the way. So you can still see that, even though this was chiseled out 8,000 years ago, you can still see it because that process of desert varnishing is still taking place today. So we're leaving Rosetta and we're heading back to Bishop, and we're going to enter into another way to get into the volcanic tablelands. And I think we can have a pretty good chance of finding the next one. Here we are at the Bishop Petroglyphs here in the volcanic tablelands of Southern California. This site is designated as MN05 by University of Berkeley's Department of Archaeology way back in 1965. This site is very well preserved, and if you've got to get one site to go visit, if you only got time for one site, this is the place to do it. The tablet behind me is probably the most remarkable at the archaeology site. It is very well preserved. It is absence of any graffiti or defilement or damage. There are rocks in this area that have been desecrated and have been vandalized. Very sad to see. In this rock you can see images of humans. You see what could be a lot of medicine wheels, or what with the circles with the vertical and the horizontal stripes in it. I think there may be some snake motifs. Bugs! Other areas of the site, you have what I think are elk. You have a lot of other geometric drawings here at the site. There's the famous block of squares, which looks like somebody really wanted to be a spreadsheet engineer 8,000 years ago, but I'm not sure why he would want to go that route. There's also a lot of, looks like chiseled handprints. There could be some lizard motifs, beetle art, maybe. Again, a lot of this is not very objective, it's very subjective, and we're looking at it from a 21st century point of view. We have to go back 8,000 to 12,000 years in some cases and put ourselves in their shoes before we can ever try to understand what some of this imagery, these petroglyphs, mean. I would say, you know, the site MN05 is probably one of the most important in the volcanic tablelands, if for no other reason, the variety of imagery in such a small geographic footprint. I mean, throughout the valley, there's rocks strewn everywhere. And I don't know if anybody, including UC Berkeley, has ever been able to catalog them all. Let me just pan across the valley and I'll show you what I'm talking about. There's rocks everywhere. The canyons are just full of rocks. And these are sizable boulders here on Fishlaw Road. And this is just one little tiny little bit of the huge, vast space. It's the Volcanic Tablelands. I think this is an older site because clearly there's a lot of carvings here that the desert varnish, the oxidation process, has already occurred. But on some surfaces, like at sundown, you can see some shapes still in the rock. So you see different images with different levels of brightness. Like these are very bright. There's some over here it's dim. So they may actually be older. So this wasn't, I don't think, created all in one day. This site here, the carvings on here, could have been created over a period of thousands of years. Why was this site so popular? Who knows? Is this a major game trail? Is the carving of maybe an elk up there a sign of this is a good place to hunt elk? And this is part of the migration route still of elk here in Southern California. So this site is well preserved. It has been defaced. It has been vandalized. I can't even show you on YouTube what it is. But if you do come up here, don't vandalize the artifacts. Don't mess with them. Don't do anything. The imagery here still follows the curvilinear style of all the carvings within the tablelands. Anthropologists believe that the Mono people should be properly credited for creating all of these petroglyphs here and all across the Volcanic Tablelands. This is obviously the work of a singular culture, and it should be honored as such. This is Skyrock. This is site number INY-334, as cataloged by UC Berkeley's Department of Archaeology. And it is glorious. I can't back too far away from the camera. I'll end it up in a pit. It's in a very, very difficult place to get to. I think we're hour 2 on foot, lugging camera gear, and I'm a big sweaty fat guy. It was a challenge. It took a lot of sleuthing to figure this one out. For obvious reasons, nobody really publishes the locations of the crown jewel petroglyphs here in the Volcanic Tablelands. And I think it's kind of obvious why. All the other petroglyph sites we've visited, they all show signs of vandalism. Heather, no one really cares who you're dating. Heather, you scratched your name along with your boyfriend on a rock over 8,000-year-old petroglyphs. If you wanted to come and see these for yourself, you can't because of Heather and her stupid boyfriend. There's just, I don't even know where to begin explaining to you the magnificence of Skyrock. It is in the same curvilinear style of all the other petroglyphs in the Volcanic Tablelands. Anthropologists have correctly credited this petroglyph and the other ones in the Volcanic Tablelands to the Mono people. These petroglyphs, this one here, probably around 8,000 years old. 8,000 years old. This one here is 8,000 years old, Heather, and I hope you never find it. From some of the photos I was able to get, the Skyrock is full of all sorts of symbolism. Squiggly lines, things to us that look like spaceships, circular patterns that we find, concentric circles that we find all over the tablelands. If we're grading these on a scale from 1 to 10 in terms of all the petroglyphs in the Volcanic Tablelands, this is an 11. The Mono people, they turned it up to 11 when they created this. Astonishing to see it. From here we can see animal motifs, maybe sketches of people. I can't even explain it. 8,000 years ago, somebody crouched under this rock here and sketched all this. Well, I shouldn't say sketch. These are chiseled. You can't just scratch some drawing into this. You have to chisel it in. There is, of course, no climbing on the rock. However, that is not stopping the lizard. I don't know if you can see it on camera. There's a lizard right down here that's trying to scamper his way up. There's no food down there. I don't know what he's looking for. Right now, he's to the right of the sign. You can probably see the sign over here. He's just chilling. But of all the examples of prehistoric art, this one takes the cake. It gets all the cake, it gets the cupcakes, it gets the birthday punch, it gets everything. So this is the last petroglyph video from our Owens Valley field trip. This last one is 13 moons. And previous to this, we had been running all over the desert with our big, all that heavy camera gear, taking all these videos in the burning hot desert. But these places, every place we went to, they have a really deep spiritual vibe. And once you see them enough, you really get an emotional connection to them. And you see where the Mono people were at 5,000 years ago, 6,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago. And you realize that wave upon wave of foreigners from the Spanish conquistadors, the United States government pushing westward all the time, looking for gold. Everybody was looking for gold. And you realize, after you've been to enough of these places, these sacred sites, it dawns on you what they already had, their culture and their knowledge of the land and of the earth, was much more valuable than any gold that's ever been found in North America. And after that journey through the desert, it was very emotional. So I'll just let it play out, and I hope you enjoy it. And this is 13 moons. According to UC Berkeley's Department of Archaeology, this is site INY 436 in the Volcanic Tablelands. This is one of the more extraordinary petroglyphs here in the Tablelands. This one is called 13 moons, of course, because we believe this is astronomical in detail. You see the 13 prominent circles. There are 13 full moons per year. Now, our calendar only has 12 months, but there are actually 13 full moons in a year. The ancient Egyptians knew it. Celtic Druids knew it. The Aztecs knew it. The Mayans knew it. And there's no reason to believe that the Mono people that settled these lands tens of thousands of years ago, no reason to believe that they didn't know it too. This rock has a lot of symbolism in it, not as much as other petroglyphs in the Tablelands. We can see down at the bottom the common oval with the horizontal line through it. We see a common squiggle of a snake along the bottom. We see another circle with a cross. And like the other petroglyphs that has the similar circle and cross, kind of laid out, they kind of mark the directions, north, south, east, west. Not exactly. We also have to consider soil settling over the last 8,000 years, which was when this thing was chiseled out, or thereabouts. But regardless of how accurate it is down to the 10th of a degree, for 8,000 years ago, it is magnificent. Let me call your attention to some of the other features on this petroglyph. We also see over on the left, it could be a star, the sun, with the irradiating rays coming out from it. Above the sun is an odd collection of dots. The dots are 8 across, and between the 6th and 7th, above it is a row of 3 dots. Right off the top of my head, couldn't tell you what that means. The central glyph in this petroglyph is this boxy figure It spans nearly the top to the bottom. Could be a tribal mask. It could be the map to someone's village. Attached to this central glyph is another circle that could be a moon. It could be a map. It could be the ceremonial dwelling of the village. Some of the moons have a different motif than the others. Starting from this end, let's say that's one. Number 10 has spikes coming off of it and ends in something that looks like a bird foot, bird track. The next one over has, in the upper right-hand quadrant, has spikes or rays emanating from it. In the lower left-hand quadrant, we see 3 different circles. Now, is the 3 different circles connected to that moon, the 12th moon, or is it connected to the big, tall motif in the left center? In the upper cluster of the moons, we can see in the center motif of a human. Is he carrying a bow, arrows? Is he carrying a shield? Is he carrying snakes? On the far right, we can see part of a bird foot. In the upper very top right-hand quadrant, we see a box with crisscrossing lines. We see similar motif of crisscrossing lines near the center, but it's not a box, it's a line with the crisscrosses attached to the bottom line, right above the 10th moon. Truly a remarkable sight. One other thing I want to point out about the different glyphs on the petroglyph, right below the, if you can see, the sun is like this arc with like this other circle with different lines drawn out from it. Is it a meteor that exploded? Don't know. Is it a spiky porcupine with a very long tail? Is it something that's already gone extinct? I don't know. But whatever it is, it's priceless, not just in monetary value. It's priceless in what it says about human culture. 8,000 years ago, this was carved with a knowledge that there's 13 full moons in one trip around the sun. There's not a lot of students graduating from high school that can tell you that. An absolutely remarkable sight. Anthropologists rightfully credit the Mono people for creating not just this petroglyph, but all the petroglyphs in the Volcanic Tablelands in the Owens Valley. Remarkable, remarkable culture. To do this such a long time ago. And think about it, they didn't discover that there were 13 full moons in a year the day they painted this. This was already ancient knowledge handed down from generation to generation to generation, long before somebody came up here and carved it. The thing that it makes me wonder, for me, the lesson of the Mono people, to me, with this right here, is if it wasn't for war and religious fanaticism like the Dark Ages, if we knew about this 8,000 years ago, where would we be today? How many times did we set ourselves back because of prejudice and bigotry and a lust for power? Paraphrasing Carl Sagan, for temporary control over one tiny speck of one small blue dot suspended in a sunbeam. That's the lesson that the Mana people taught me. That's the lesson. That's the lesson the Mana people taught me. And I hope it's a lesson you get from this too. So that's it from 13 Moons, site number INY436, here in the gorgeous Volcanic Tablelands of Southern California. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you like what I'm doing, please hit the subscribe button. And after I stop crying, I'll be your lab partner. Thank you. Bye-bye.